Hey history buffs! Today we're diving into a pivotal moment in Jewish history, the expulsion from Spain in 1492. Yes, the very same year Columbus set sail. On July 30th, 1492, King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella issued the Alhambra Decree, which ordered all Jews to leave Spain. This marked the end of a vibrant and complex Jewish presence in the Iberian Peninsula. But what happened to these displaced people? Many Jews fled to neighboring Portugal, but their respite was short-lived. Just 5 years later, in 1497, Portugal followed Spain's lead and expelled its Jewish population too. Desperate to escape persecution, many Jews sought refuge in the more tolerant Ottoman Empire. Under Sultan Bayezid II, the Ottoman Empire welcomed the Jewish refugees with open arms. He even sent ships to help them relocate. The Sultan reportedly said, "They call Ferdinand a wise king, he who impoverished his own country and enriched mine." The Jewish community thrived in cities like Istanbul and Thessaloniki, contributing significantly to trade, culture, and science. But not all Jews went east. Some ventured to the more tolerant regions of North Africa, such as Morocco and Algeria. There they established vibrant communities and continued to practice their faith. Others embarked on perilous journeys to the New World. Conversos, Jews who had converted to Christianity under duress, joined early Spanish and Portuguese expeditions to the Americas. While they faced suspicion and persecution, these conversos played a crucial role in the colonization of the New World. In the centuries that followed, the Sephardic Jews, as they came to be known, spread across Europe, the Middle East, and the Americas. They carried with them their unique customs, language, and traditions, enriching the cultures they joined. Despite the hardships, the Jews who fled Spain in 1492 demonstrated remarkable resilience and adaptability. Their story is not just one of suffering and exile, but also of strength and endurance. The expulsion from Spain forced the Jewish community to become more globally dispersed and interconnected. This exile, painful as it was, helped preserve Jewish culture and identity through centuries of adversity. So next time you think of 1492, remember it's not just the year of Columbus, it's also the year that set the stage for a new chapter in Jewish history. The legacy of the expelled Jews continues to shape the world today. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button and subscribe for more fascinating historical deep dives. Until next time, keep exploring the past to understand the present. The sufferings of the exiles, Jews depart Spain in 1492. For the Jews, it was everywhere a general desolation. Christians witnessed the most heart-rending scenes. The inexorable Ferdinand, the Christian king, and the odious Torquemada, the inquisitor general, alone remained unmoved. With the sincerest sorrow, the profoundest grief, they quitted a country where their nation had flourished for many ages. It had become their country. Some of the proscribed, yielding to imperious necessity, preferred abjuring the faith of their forefathers to quitting the soil to which all their fondest affections attached them. others to retain their possessions. But many of these dissemblers, who were so fortunate as to escape the lynx-eyed inquisitors, when opportunity offered, rejoined their brethren and openly avowed their Judaism. Those whom fear or attachment to their native soil had made converts remained objects of suspicion to the clergy. They compelled them to prove their baptism and to live among Christians, instead of together as formerly. Those who had been rabbis were obliged to leave the towns where they had resided, so much was their influence with their former co-religionists feared. The misery suffered by the unfortunate exiles is almost indescribable. Some of the vessels caught fire and they either perished in the flames or were drowned. Others were so overloaded that they sunk. Many were wrecked on barren coasts and perished with hunger and cold. Those who survived were exposed to further troubles and misfortunes. Some captains purposely prolonged their voyage to force them to buy water and provisions, at any price they chose to exact from their unfortunate victims. No one can describe nor even imagine all the calamities that befell the Hebrews in quitting Spain, such as the dreadful want of food that some experienced at sea, the ferocity of brigands, who on land plundered them of everything they possessed, the barbarity of captains, who conveyed others to distant islands like Sao Tome or the west coast of Africa, there selling them for slaves, pretending they were prisoners of war, or those who threw the sick overboard to take their property. On board one vessel full of emigrants, a pestilential disease broke out. The captain landed all on a desert island, where they wandered about in quest of assistance. A mother carrying 2 infants, walking with her husband, expired on the road. The father, overcome with fatigue, fell fainting near his 2 children. On awakening he found them dead from hunger. He covered them with sand. "My God," exclaimed he, "my misfortunes seem to induce me to abandon thy law, but I am a Jew and will ever remain so." Another captain deprived them of their clothes and landed them naked on a barren coast where they found a spring of water. At night, climbing some rocks in search of human habitations, a number were devoured by wild beasts. After being there for 5 days, the captain of a passing ship perceived naked people on the shore. He took them on board, clothed them with old sails, gave them food and conveyed them to Genoa. Seeing their miserable condition, the inhabitants inquired if he had slaves for sale. He nobly answered, "No," and delivered them to their brethren in the city, on payment of reasonable expenses. They gladly made him an additional present, and loaded him with their blessings. One wretch is said to have violated a Jewish maiden in her parents' presence. After quitting her, he returned and cut her throat, for fear, as he said, she should have conceived and should bring forth a Jew. The miseries suffered by those who went to Morocco are equally appalling. The Moors plundered them of almost everything they had. Hearing that many men and women had swallowed gold to bring away, they murdered a number and then ripped them open to search for it. At Salé, the crew of a large vessel enticed a number of children on board with promises of giving them bread, and then set sail, while their frantic mothers implored them from the beach to restore their only treasure. 9 crowded vessels infected with disease arising from the hardships and privations of the voyage arrived at Naples. The pestilence was communicated to the city and 20,000 of its inhabitants fell victim to it. Others repaired to Genoa, where a famine prevailed. They were permitted to land but were met by priests carrying a crucifix in one hand and a loaf of bread in the other, thus intimating that by receiving baptism they should have food. This is but a brief account of the horrors and atrocities suffered by the unfortunate descendants of Israel on quitting, by the cruel mandate of Ferdinand and Isabella, a country to which, notwithstanding the persecutions they had occasionally experienced from the populace instigated by fanatic monks, they were sincerely and devotedly attached.
Join me as I dive into the fascinating history and uncover what really happened to the Jews who fled Spain in 1492. The year 1492 was a pivotal moment in Jewish history. It marked the end of an era of relative tolerance and the beginning of a long and arduous journey for the Jewish community in Spain. On March 31st of that year, King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella issued the Alhambra Decree, ordering the expulsion of all Jews from Spain unless they converted to Christianity. It was a devastating blow to a community that had thrived in Spain for centuries. The challenges faced by Jewish communities after their expulsion were immense. Persecution was rampant, and many were forced to flee with little more than the clothes on their backs. Finding new homes and rebuilding their lives was a daunting task, especially considering the cultural dislocation they experienced. The trauma of being uprooted from their ancestral homeland would take generations to heal. Moreover, the loss of their economic and social status in Spain made it difficult for them to reintegrate into new societies. The expelled Jews had to navigate unfamiliar territories, seeking refuge in lands that often proved unwelcoming. Furthermore, the displacement led to a sense of disorientation and disconnection from their rich cultural heritage. The Spanish expulsion marked the end of the golden age of Jewish culture in Spain, an era that had produced some of the most influential Jewish thinkers, writers, and artists. The trauma of the expulsion would leave an indelible mark on Jewish identity, influencing their art, literature, and religious practices for centuries to come. Many Jews were forced to leave behind their beloved Sephardic traditions, which had developed over centuries in Spain, and adapt to new cultural norms. The difficulties of resettlement were further compounded by the lack of cohesion and organization within the Jewish community. Without a central authority to guide them, many Jews were left to fend for themselves, making it difficult to maintain their cultural and religious practices. The expulsion had created a sense of fragmentation, with different groups settling in various parts of the world and struggling to maintain connections with one another. In the aftermath of the expulsion, many Jews set their sights on the Ottoman Empire, which had long been a beacon of tolerance and acceptance. The empire's welcoming stance towards Jewish refugees was largely due to the efforts of Sultan Bayezid II, who saw the economic benefits of attracting skilled and educated Jews. The Ottoman Empire became a hub of Jewish cultural and intellectual activity, with many notable scholars and thinkers making it their new home. Another popular destination for Jewish migrants was North Africa, particularly Morocco and Tunisia. While these regions presented their own set of challenges, they offered a sense of familiarity and cultural proximity to the Jews who settled there. The Jewish communities in North Africa thrived, producing significant scholars, poets, and merchants who would go on to shape the region's cultural landscape. Meanwhile, other Jews made their way to various parts of Europe, such as Italy, the Netherlands, and England. These communities, although smaller, played a crucial role in maintaining Jewish cultural and religious traditions. They also contributed significantly to the development of their host countries, making important advances in fields like medicine, science, and commerce. One remarkable story that exemplifies the journey of the Jews who fled Spain is that of Don Isaac Abravanel, a prominent Jewish statesman and scholar. Abravanel, who had served as the treasurer to King Ferdinand, was forced to flee Spain and eventually settled in Venice. He continued to advocate for Jewish rights and wrote extensively on Jewish philosophy and theology. His works had a profound impact on Jewish thought, shaping the course of Jewish scholarship for generations to come. The impact of the 1492 expulsion on Jewish culture, identity, and community resilience cannot be overstated. The diaspora that followed has had a lasting impact on Jewish history, shaping their collective identity and informing their responses to persecution and discrimination. The story of the Jews who fled Spain serves as a powerful testament to the resilience and adaptability of the Jewish people. In conclusion, the expulsion of the Jews from Spain in 1492 was a pivotal moment in Jewish history, marked by trauma, displacement, and perseverance. As we reflect on this pivotal event, we are reminded of the long-term effects it had on Jewish identity and culture, shaping their journey for centuries to come. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to share your thoughts on this video in the comments below. If you're interested in learning more about Jewish history and culture, be sure to check out our other video on